Your wife is cheating, the note that blew up my life. This morning I saw a sign on the fence of my house. Your wife is sleeping with other men. Sharpie on white poster board, taped right over the welcome friends plaque Avery bought at Hobby Lobby. I'm Tyler, 32. My wife is Avery, 30. We're the good couple on our block, gray Craftsman golden retriever named Pixel, grill that's seen more asparagus than burgers. My mom calls us Pinterest with Pulse. I stood there with my travel mug and felt the world tilt a few degrees. First thought, prank. Second, neighbor drama. Third, the one that threaded ice through my ribs, was a list of dots I'd refused to connect. Lately Avery's phone has lived face down on Do Not Disturb, then oops, left in the car. CarPlay stopped auto-connecting because updates are weird. She started doing girl dinners that ran until midnight, coming home with that just-showered glow and a new citrus pepper scent that isn't ours. Her yoga pants collection exploded. So did her networking mixers. Our chalkboard in the kitchen says, "Good vibes only." The vibe has been curated silence. I took a photo of the sign and peeled the tape like it might fingerprint me. My neighbor, Mr. Patel, waved from across the street and then noticed what I was holding. His smile died. "Everything okay, Tyler?" I said teenagers, and my voice cracked like one. Inside, Avery was singing along to a playlist called Hot Girl Autumn, loading the dishwasher like she hadn't just been indicted by cardboard. "Babe, can you grab oat milk after work?" she said, kissing my cheek. She smelled like oranges and a faint shadow of cologne that wasn't mine. On her collarbone, a blushy comma-shaped mark she'd missed with concealer. "Someone put a sign on the fence," I said. She blinked, then snorted. "Yikes. Trolls in suburbia." She grabbed it, crumpled it with surgeon precision, and dunked it in the trash like she'd practiced. "Don't feed weird energy, Ty." My hands shook all the way to the office. I parked 2 blocks away and scrolled our joint bank app. Boutique hotel charges I didn't recognize. A rideshare to a cross street by that hotel on yoga night. A flower delivery to an address 2 neighborhoods over. I screenshotted like a paralegal in a heist movie. At lunch I walked to that hotel, the Briar, all brass and plants, and asked the desk if a black leather card holder had been turned in. "Name?" the clerk asked. "Tyler Hart." She typed, looked at me twice, smiled unsure. "I remember your wife. She loves the truffle fries." My stomach lurched. Back home I went hunting for stupid answers. In the laundry basket, Avery's black wrap dress, ghosted with spicy sweet cologne. In the pocket, a cardboard sleeve for a room key, the logo in gold, a heart drawn in pen. On the counter her phone buzzed to life. "Book club books tonight? 9 p.m. I know that club. None of them own books." I texted my mom, "You guys up for dinner Sunday?" She replied in 10 seconds, "Lasagna therapy? That's our code for you look haunted." I spent the evening pretending to be a husband in a normal kitchen while the sign I'd fished from the trash dried by the sink. Pixel stared at me like he knew I'd found a crack in the window nobody else could see. Sleep didn't visit. At 5:41 a.m., I made coffee I didn't drink and opened our bank app again. The Briar twice. A florist called Wild Stem. 2 Lyft rides 5 minutes apart, both to a street that dead ends behind the hotel. Screenshot. Screenshot. On Avery's IG, Book Club Books had posted a boomerang of clinking glasses. Caption, "Literally literature." In the reflection of one glass I could see a brass wall sconce that looked exactly like the ones at the Briar. I saved it before they could delete. Avery patted and wearing my college tee like a souvenir, hair in that loose bun that always made me want to cancel my day. She slid behind me, cheek on my back. "Morning, husband," she murmured, hands warm at my waist. She smelled like that new peppery cologne again under the citrus shampoo, faint but there. A tiny healed bruise sat high on her shoulder, comma-shaped. "If you know, you know." "Rough night?" she asked, voice syrupy. I kept my eyes on the spreadsheet I wasn't reading. "Weird sign," I said. She kissed my neck, slow, almost apologetic, and reached for her phone. Face ID. Dismiss. Phone face down. I told myself not to throw a grenade. Collect first, detonate later. So I texted our neighbor with the doorbell cam, the other Mr. Patel, the tech one. "Hey, weird request, anything on your recordings of our driveway last night?" He replied in under a minute with a clip. Avery's car returning at 12:38 a.m., lights off until the last second, parking 2 houses down, her walking home in the black wrap dress and white sneakers she only wears when she wants to be fast. My chest went tight like a seatbelt locking. Laundry hamper again. I checked pockets like a raccoon with a mortgage. Found, a folded Briar receipt, 2 late-night bites, 1 mocktail, 1 old-fashioned, and a cardboard key sleeve with A+, doodled in pen. The question mark felt like a dare. Then came the text I wasn't ready for, from her best friend Nova, 30F, lashes for days, professional cheerleader for chaos, don't freak. She's just figuring herself out. I stared at the words until they blurred. Figuring yourself out at a boutique hotel is a choice. By lunch, curiosity had turned into a costume I couldn't take off. I walked into the Briar with a confidence I borrowed from TV and said my last name like it was a key. The clerk blinked. Mr. Hart, welcome back. My bones went hollow. I asked if a leather card holder had been turned in, stall tactic, and she handed me an envelope. We forgot to put in your wife's folio. Inside, a printed note on hotel letterhead, happy anniversary A+C, and 2 drink tickets and used, embossed in gold. +C. C as in? Carter, the CrossFit coach who says, let's eat iron? Cameron, the neighbor who loaned us a ladder and stared too long? Or Chase, the guy from Avery's networking mixers, who comments fire emojis on everything she posts? Back home, I set the envelope on the counter like it might explode and opened the junk drawer everyone forgets I alphabetized. Under scarves, a thin black phone I'd never seen. I plugged it in and told myself I was insane. It lit up to a lock screen photo of the Briar's elevator mirror with Avery's smile half-cropped. Passcode guesses, her birthday, Pixel's adoption date, nope. My own birthday as a joke, nope. Then I tried 0409, Chase's birthday from his HBD to me real. Open. Messages were a gallery of knives. Her contact for him wasn't Chase. It was Coach. Threads of soft focus selfies. Her in that storm gray slip I've never seen at home, his hand in the edge of the frame on her waist. Messages that weren't explicit so much as intimate. You still smell like oranges? Bring the cologne that makes him sneeze? Stairs or tub? A photo of room service. Strawberries bleeding into chocolate on a white tray, rose petals I recognized from the hotel promo pics. A video I didn't press play on, just stared at the thumbnail of her laughing with her head thrown back, a laugh I hadn't heard in months. The group chat book club books wasn't about books. Nova, girl hydrate. Someone named Harley nail polish. He has a twin? Dangerous. Avery, stop smiling face with horns. I scrolled until my thumb cramped and found a calendar block labeled prenatal yoga with C. I swallowed hard. We're not expecting. At least not that I knew. The kitchen clock ticked like a dare. Pixel whined. Outside, the lemon tree I'd kept alive through winter looked heroic and stupid at the same time. I put everything back exactly how I found it, wiped my fingerprints off the hotel envelope like an extra in a heist, and waited for the garage door to open so I could ask my wife if she had a good time at book club. I waited until Saturday because I'm a coward who wanted one more normal morning. Avery came back from yoga, glowing, ponytail damp, cheeks pink like she'd been kissed by weather. I'd laid the hotel envelope, the ride receipts, and a printout of our bank charges on the counter like a museum of bad decisions. What's this? I asked. She froze for a breath, then slipped into a smile. Performance art? Tyler, this is creepy. She tapped the envelope. Oh my God, the Briar again? Are you stalking me? Who is C? I said. A+C. Happy anniversary. She rolled her eyes so hard it was almost athletic. Nova and I did a bit for our podcast. C is content. You know, anniversary of content. You're being literal again. I slid the burner phone across the counter, opened to a message that read, stairs or tub? The smile cracked. She went straight to anger. You went through my private things? That is abusive. Then on cue the switch to sobbing, mascara wells, breath hitching. She came around the island and grabbed my forearms, voice small. Babe, please. I was lonely. You've been so, spreadsheet lately. Coach was just attention. It's nothing. It's noise. Noise you took to a hotel 9 times, I said. She dropped to her knees so fast her phone skittered under the cabinet. Palms together like prayer. I'll delete everything. I'll change my number. I'll quit the gym. Don't leave me. Please. Her forehead touched my wrist. Pixel whined and paced like he wanted to hand me a manual for humans. Is there anyone else? I asked. She hesitated just a hair. No, I slid a florist receipt across with an address 2 neighborhoods over. She blanched. Okay, that was Nova's friend. She had surgery. I sent flowers. My look said try again. Fine. Cameron helped me with a ladder and I thanked him. Nothing happened. Okay. Happy? My parents knocked then, having sensed the bat signal. Mom clocked the counter spread, went pale. Dad looked at Avery on the floor and did that tight jaw thing. "We can come back," he said. Avery popped up, tears off, hostess mode on. "Stay. Lasagna therapy, right?" She laughed at her own joke and then remembered to cry again. After they left, her mother, Colleen, FaceTimed in with a glass of white wine and a voice like a sermon. "Tyler, real men do not snoop. Real men provide and forgive." Her dad, Bruce, yelled from somewhere off-screen, "Boys will be boys," which seemed like a confession that got lost on the way to relevance. Colleen added, "Testing ruins families." I hadn't mentioned any tests. My skin prickled. I said it anyway. "We're doing an STI panel. And if the dates overlap with trying a paternity test." Avery's eyes flashed. "How dare you," she hissed, then collapsed back to pleading. "I swear it was just a phase. I was experimenting. It's over." Her phone lit face up on the tile. "Coach, miss your voice." She snatched it. "Spam," she said, broken record. "Full access," I said. "Counseling. No contact. Pick all three." She wiped her face with her sleeve, mascara streaking like war paint. "Two," she bargained. "Counseling and no contact. My phone is my privacy." She straightened like a queen reclaiming a throne. "You're not my dad. Your privacy is pregnant with secrets," I said, and watched a piece of whatever we'd built snap with a sound only I could hear. I tried to stay. That's the ugliest sentence. We booked a couples therapist, Dr. Keene, whose office had succulents and a sand tray like we were 6. I laid out my 3 conditions again: full access, counseling, no contact. And Avery nodded like a bobblehead and said, "I can do hard things," which is the kind of Pinterest sentence that sounds brave until you're asking it to touch reality. 2 good days. She made salmon, wore my hoodie, cried into my collarbone like salt could cure rot. I slept at the mattress edge like distance could keep whatever this was from soaking through. On day 3 she left her phone face up as a grand gesture. 5 minutes later, "Coach," peach emoji. She flipped it over so fast the charging cord popped out. "Spam," she said. That word again, sprayed like Febreze over a landfill. I kept a log because time got slippery. Dates, charges, phrases she used, the exact lies. Tuesday, yoga cancelled, but her leggings are damp in the dryer. Thursday, blocked him, but a new contact named Claire, woman getting haircut, hearts her story within seconds. Saturday, the Briar sends a loyalty email, "We miss you," to our joint account because she forgot to change the profile. Avery insists it's an automated glitch and then slides to the floor, mascara moons, begging like prayer. "Please don't weaponize the past. I'm here now. Look at me." My parents did lasagna therapy on Sunday. Mom hugged me with that long-held quiet that invites truth to be born. Dad fixed nothing in the house and still took out his toolbox like he needed its weight. We ate on the porch while Pixel hunted sun patches. Mom asked gentle questions. Dad said, "Son, there's hard and then there's harm." Avery did her bright daughter-in-law routine, then vanished to call Nova. I found her in the garage whispering in that soft, not-for-me voice. When I stepped in, she cradled the phone to her chest and said, "Guided meditation." Sure. Her family played their roles. Colleen texted me a Pinterest board titled, "Modern Forgiveness," all watercolor fonts and photos of exes at soccer games. Bruce called to say, "You don't walk away over a few kisses." I hadn't told him about room service strawberries and the sentence, "stairs or tub." Colleen added, "Paternity test stress babies," which was a weird thing to say out loud to a son-in-law who hadn't told her he'd booked one. My skin crawled. I booked it anyway. At night, intimacy was a haunted house. She'd reach for me in that slow, practiced way that used to make my brain go quiet, and my body would seize like a car in winter. I wanted to want her. I wanted to throw my phone in the river and staple the door shut on this story. Instead, my head served flashbulbs, elevator mirror, a hand like a comma at her waist, her laugh, the one I hadn't heard in months, echoing off hotel tile. Not graphic, just the outline of betrayal drawn in neon. Dr. Keene asked me in session what safety looks like. "Honesty I don't have to excavate," I said. "Access that isn't performative." Avery squeezed my fingers and said, "I'll be transparent. I'll even let you track me." Then in the car she joked, "Can I put the tracker on Pixel?" I didn't laugh. The next morning, Book Club Books posted a brunch boomerang, Nova's ring, Harley's nails, Avery's sleeve. Caption, "Literally literature." The table reflection held a tiny brass sconce. The Briar uses the same ones in the bar. I started running before dawn because my chest felt like a room with no windows. The first morning I made it to the stop sign and nearly threw up in Mr. Patel's rosemary bush. He waved from his Prius and said, "Keep going, Tyler," in a way that made my throat sting. Quiet revenge took shape. New email, P.O. box, separate checking at a credit union she doesn't remember exists. Not sabotage. Shelter. That night she came home with daisies, set them on the counter like penance and slid to her knees, palms up. "Tell me what to do." "I'll do anything." I said, "Tell me everything." She blinked too long, then picked a smaller truth like a consolation prize. "Okay, twice. With Coach. It's over." The log in my pocket said 9 times. I didn't argue. I wrote it down. I booked the labs on my lunch break, STI panel for both of us and a non-invasive paternity test because the calendar was ugly if you did the math. I told the OB office we were verifying insurance, because I couldn't say the real words without tasting pennies. I didn't tell Avery until the morning of. She went from icicle to hurricane in 5 seconds. "You're abusing a woman with anxiety," she snapped, then slid to the floor in the foyer and grabbed my ankles, crying so hard Pixel hid behind the couch. Fine. Swab me. Bleed me. I'll do anything." Colleen texted, perfectly timed, "Real men don't test their families." I replied with a thumbs up and booked a P.O. box 2 towns over. At the lab, Avery wore a cream sweater and innocence like a costume. "We're excited to confirm what we already know," she chirped to the phlebotomist, then whispered through her teeth, "You're humiliating me." When the tech labeled our vials, Avery tried to shuffle the tubes like a street magician. I caught her wrist. We locked eyes, hers glossy, mine made of winter. "Don't," I said. She cried louder so the waiting room could hate me on cue. Quiet revenge stayed quiet. I opened a checking account at a credit union she forgets exists, redirected part of my paycheck, and set an alert for any purchases at the Briar, Wild Stem Florist, and that specific lift zone. I emailed the CrossFit owner, a bland note about boundary issues between staff and clients. He called within an hour, voice tight. By evening, Coach posted a Notes app screenshot about a mental health break. Comments off. Nova subtweeted me, "Some men hate to see a woman glow." I muted her and printed everything. Then another timeline smacked me. On Chase/Coach's tagged photos, a woman kept popping up. Quinn, tattoos, pet beagle, eyes that said she'd outlived worse. I DM'd, "Sorry to be this guy. Are you with him?" She replied, "Define with." I said our dates might overlap. 10 minutes later she sent a photo of a pregnancy test on a bathroom counter, faint pink lines like ghosts. 9 weeks, she typed. He says it's complicated. I stared at the screen until the room buzzed. 2 lives colliding and neither knew they were in the same wreck. At home, Avery tried to reboot Perfect Wife Theater, my hoodie, my playlist, my pasta. Halfway through dinner, her phone lit with a message from salon woman getting haircut. "Miss your voice." She lunged, babbling, spam, then slid off the chair to her knees beside me, palms up like offerings. "Please, Ty. I'll delete socials. I'll throw the phone in the lake. I'll let you track me like I'm on parole. Just don't make me a villain." I looked at the stove clock counting my life in green LED. "Villains don't cry this much," I said. "But they do lie." My folks came by with lasagna therapy and those eyes that hold space. Dad's advice landed like a plumb line. Document. Decide. Don't yell. Colleen called mid-meal to announce on speaker, "Testing stresses babies." Mom, who never curses, muttered, "Oh, for heaven's sake," and took the phone to say, sweet as sugar with a razor inside, "Then don't test your daughter's integrity by asking my son to raise someone else's child." That night I couldn't sleep. I drove past the Briar and saw Avery's car 2 blocks over, tucked under a jacaranda like it had secrets to shade. I didn't knock. I didn't explode. I took a photo, time-stamped it, and went home to the lemon tree, which kept breathing like it had decided to live. The paternity and STI results were processing, which felt like living in a loading spinner. Coach texted from a new number, "Talk?" I said yes at noon in front of the Briar because symmetry is stupid and I wanted it anyway. He showed in a sleeveless hoodie, jaw set to inspirational reel. First word out of his mouth, "Bro." I let it sit. He launched into a TED talk about chemistry and soul spots. I said, "Say affair." He couldn't. He offered a plan like I was picking a class package. "If the baby's mine," he smirked, "he'll honor our bond. If it's his, we'll co-dad." I pictured a stroller next to a squat rack and tasted metal. "You mean I pay while you post?" He blinked like he didn't understand nouns. I asked if he knew Quinn. He flinched, microscopic but there. She's dramatic, he said. She lies. Men who say that usually leave a trail of women telling the same story. I told him to stay away from my house, my porch, my dog, my oxygen. He shrugged like consequence was cardio. Unpleasant but optional. At home, Avery was in full penitent drag. My hoodie, wet eyes, a pan of brownies cooling like props. Did he ambush you? She asked, voice small. He's obsessed. Then the phone on the console lit. WhatsApp, mom group nail polish, from Colleen. If he pushes testing, say stress hurts baby. Drag feet. My stomach cold flashed. I palmed the phone under the hum of the range hood, stepped into the bathroom, locked the door and scrolled. The thread was a masterclass in generational manipulation. Colleen, delete after reading. Avery, he wants access to my phone. Colleen, say it triggers anxiety. Offer counseling instead. Then a screen cap text from Colleen to a friend named Marla. Men bond after birth. Tyler will forget once he holds it. There was also a photo from Avery's bachelorette, storm gray slip, a stranger's lap, neon sign, good girls bad choices. Colleen had heart reacted it. The rot wasn't new, it was a family recipe. I walked out with my comm zipped on. Your mom is coaching you, I said. Avery's face did the 3-act play, anger, tears, bargaining, in 30 seconds. She's old school, she sniffed. She wants us to stay a family. She slid to her knees on the rug, palms up. Please Tyler. I'll block everyone. I'll delete entire apps. I'll throw my phone in the river. Her mascara made parentheses down her cheeks. Pixel put a paw on my shoe like he was voting for something quieter. A DM hit my phone, then from a name I didn't recognize. We need to talk. I'm sorry. Quinn. We met at a diner off the freeway, afternoon light making everything look less tragic than it was. She was smaller than her photos and looked like someone who'd stopped sleeping. I made the sign, she blurted before the coffee landed. I just stared. I tried messaging you. I tried messaging her. He was lying to both of us. I wanted to warn you and maybe force his hand. She slid a folded printout across. Lyft receipts that mirrored my screenshots, Briar dates that lined up with nights Avery called me from book club. I don't want him back, she said. I want out. We sat there like war buddies in the quiet between shells. When she left, she squeezed my shoulder and said, don't let them make you the villain in their play. Back home, Colleen and Bruce were already there like a sitcom with a laugh track removed. Colleen started in on stress and forgiveness until my dad stepped in with the gentlest sledgehammer. Pam, your daughter humiliated my son. Please stop trying to make him apologize for noticing. Bruce tried, boys will be, and Mom cut him off with a look that could shuck corn. That night, Avery crawled to me on the living room rug, hands clasped, crying the kind of tears that leave salt maps. One more chance, she whispered. I'll be brand new. The WhatsApp thread pinged again on the console. Marla to Colleen, plan B if test is bad? Colleen, say lab messed up. Demand redo. Cry. I set my phone face down and felt something inside me click from survive to prepare. By Monday I was a spreadsheet in sneakers. I called an attorney, Larkin, calm voice, razor smile you can hear through the phone. Her first words, don't perform. Prepare. She told me to freeze the store card I didn't open, found it, used at a boutique that sells lingerie and home scent, route part of my paycheck to a new credit union account, and stop explaining myself to people who profit from my confusion. Document. Decide. Don't detonate. I built an arc out of boring. P.O. box, new email, paper copies of every receipt and Lyft ride, screenshots printed and labeled by date, a cheap hardware encrypted drive with the log. I pulled Pixel's vet records and my passport and put both in the trunk with my dad's old toolbox. Things that mean I can leave without asking anyone's permission. The HOA sent an autoblast about vandalism, so I asked the property manager if they'd pull our street camera for the night of the fence sign. She sent me a clip, Quinn jogging up in a hoodie, blue beagle leash in one hand, taping the poster with shaking fingers, then sprinting away like her heart was on fire. The ghost had a face. It didn't make me mad. Made me grateful. I drove to the address from the florist receipt. Not a boyfriend's house. Storage lockers behind a strip mall nail salon. My code didn't work. Hers did because she uses the same 4 digits for everything. Inside Unit 17, a museum of our counterfeit life. Hotel key sleeves rubber banded by month. A storm gray slip folded like a flag. A Polaroid of a wrist with a tiny treehouse scar, mine, his, ours, captioned in her looping hand, A+C anniversary. A notebook with lists that made me queasy, order strawberries. Bring pepper cologne. Don't wear peach, Ty notices. I took photos, sealed the unit, and stood in the hall breathing the dry, rented air, promising myself I wouldn't make it my altar. CrossFit did its part. After my bland email about boundary concerns, Coach posted a Notes app break about focusing on mental health. Comments off. Quinn messaged a champagne emoji and later, he's suspended. I didn't feel triumphant, just aligned. Lawful revenge tastes like room temperature water. Not exciting, but it keeps you alive. Colleen escalated. First, a text thread to mom group nail polish. We need to circle Avery. He's trying to build a case. Then a wellness check at my door, 2 polite officers, hands visible, saying an anonymous caller reported raised voices. I let them into the tidy boredom of my house. The lemon tree, the logbook, the lasagna Tupperware. One officer clocked the stack of printed receipts and said quietly, happening a lot lately. When they left, my phone buzzed. Colleen, maybe the police can help you calm down. I forwarded it to Larkin and blocked her. My parents came by with soup and Dad's toolbox even though nothing was broken. He fixes things by standing near them. Mom said, you're not crazy, like a benediction. I told them about Quinn, the storage unit, the coaching text. Dad listened, then, we can help you move fast when it's time. He meant boxes. I heard oxygen. Avery tried a new performance. Sweet wife on a redemption arc. She left her phone on the counter all evening, screen bright with nothing. She cooked, then drifted to the rug and went to her knees again, palms up like communion. Tell me the rules, Ty. I'll live inside them. I said, no contact. Counseling. Full access. She nodded. Yes, yes, and yes. 10 minutes later, the console iPad I forgot existed pinged from an old Apple ID. Coach, new number, need your voice. She lunged like she'd been electrocuted, unplugged it, and sobbed until her cheeks burned. It's spam, she whispered. Even she didn't believe it. Larkin filed a temporary separation draft with terms. Financial disentangling, written-only contact, pixel with me, a move-out date if I choose it. I read the PDF 3 times, touching the words like Braille, then put it in the encrypted drive. The lemon tree caught the afternoon light like it had decided to live. At 9:17 p.m., an email flashed on my phone from the lab with a subject line that felt like a trapdoor, results available. I stared at it until the screen went dark, and in the reflection I saw a man who finally knew which door in his own house was the exit. I opened the lab portal with the same calm I used to slice my thumb chopping onions. The page loaded slow like it wanted to give me one last chance to bail. 2 lines in sans serif. STI panel, negative. Paternity probability, 0%. The first line let breath back into my ribs. The second turned that breath to winter. No punctuation, no apology, just math with a knife. I printed the PDF and taped it over Avery's kitchen chalkboard where she'd written, good vibes only. Pixel tilted his head like he could read. I heard the garage door, the key in the lock, the bright voice she wears for normal. She walked in with farmer's market flowers and stopped like she'd hit an invisible tripwire. What's that? She asked, already crying in the syllables. Facts, I said. She went through the whole weather system, outrage, labs mess up, logic cosplay, stress effects DNA, then collapse. She slid to her knees so fast the grocery bag toppled, peaches rolling across the tile like escapees. She grabbed my hands, mascara carving black commas down her cheeks. Please, Ty. Don't make our baby fatherless. He has a father, I said. Go ask him to be one. Right then the doorbell rang like fate had a sense of humor. Through the glass, Coach in a hoodie, Colleen with a casserole, Bruce in his weekend leather jacket, and, God help me, Nova filming herself in my reflection until she realized. My parents pulled into the curb 5 beats later because I'd texted, come. The living room turned courtroom. Colleen beelined to the chalkboard, peeling tape like she could unwrite reality. This is abuse, she hissed. Real men don't need paperwork to love. Bruce planted himself near the door, cop stance without the badge, saying, be reasonable, like it's a spell. Coach lifted his palms. I'll contribute, he offered like a GoFundMe perk. Nova started, as a podcast host, and my mom, God bless her, said, hush. Dad skimmed the page, met my eyes and nodded once. Okay. Then we separate. 6 words that stacked a scaffold inside my chest. Avery crawled across the rug, hands clasped, forehead to my knee. I'll change my number. I'll delete everyone. I'll move states. I'll be small Ty. I'll disappear if you want, just don't disappear from me. Her voice broke on the last word and she clutched my leg like an anchor. Bree, sorry Nova, blurted, Tell them about the storage unit, then covered her mouth. Colleen snapped, Nova? Coach stared at the ceiling like maybe there was a pull-up bar up there. Bruce said, boys will be, and Dad cut him off without raising his voice. No. I read from my notebook, steady as if it belonged to someone I admired. Paternity, no. Health, clear. Boundary, separation effective today. Contact, written only via counsel. Access, none. I slid Larkin's printed terms across the coffee table. Colleen reached for them. Mom moved them to me like a goalie. Avery's face switched between fury and beg. You're boring, she spat the old blade. Then softer, sliced into ribbons, you're safe. Be safe for me. She pressed her cheek to my shin. Pixel whined and nudged her away, somehow gentler than any of us. I packed in silence. Passport, the encrypted drive, the logbook, a week of clothes, Dad's toolbox, the lemon tree. Coach tried to follow me to the porch with a script about co-dad vibes. I shut the door. Colleen yelled that I was orphaning her daughter. Bruce muttered something about weak men. My dad carried the lemon tree like a torch. My mom kissed my temple and said, breathe while you walk. On the sidewalk, the evening light made our unremarkable street look cinematic. Nova called after me, content warning? Like we were still in that universe. I kept moving. The sign on the fence was long gone, but I could feel its shape, the first true sentence anyone had handed me. I put the suitcase in the trunk, buckled Pixel, and drove toward the apartment over the deli that smells like onions at 6 a.m. and hope by noon. The rental over the deli had a door that stuck and a window that faced a billboard for injury lawyers. I unpacked 3 things, Pixel's bed, my dad's toolbox, and the lemon tree. The first night I lay on the carpet and listened to the building hum. Fridge, neon, someone frying onions at midnight, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Quiet that wasn't pretending. I made rules because rules hold when feelings don't. Phone on airplane mode after 9. No alcohol alone. One task before 10 a.m. counts as a win, laundry counts. Run at dawn, even if it's just to the end of the block and back. Day 1, I nearly fed Mr. Patel's cousins Rosemary another sacrifice. The deli kid with a mullet handed me a free water and said, keep going, King. I did. Lawful revenge did its slow, unsexy work. Larkin filed the separation. A process server handed Avery the packet while Colleen filmed a teary story about abandonment. I didn't watch. My friends sent screenshots, I filed them and kept sanding my life down to true surfaces. The CrossFit owner emailed to say, policies have been enforced. Coach's classes vanished from the schedule. Quinn texted a blurry ultrasound with a flicker. Heartbeat, she wrote. Not your circus anymore. We traded a weird, kind smile emoji and went back to our separate rebuilds. Avery's orbit kept throwing pebbles at my windows. Voice notes where she sobbed until she hiccuped, then shifted gears into sales pitches. Sedona retreats, crystals, reset weekends. Colleen mailed a book about forgiveness with passages highlighted like accusations. Bruce left a voicemail about men who quit. I forwarded everything to Larkin and turned my phone over like it might bite. My parents turned up with soup and patience. Mom made the bed while giving a TED talk on hydration. Dad hung a thrift store frame and when the nail didn't bite, shrugged and said, bigger screw, which felt like the entire religion I needed. He also brought a cheap film camera from '98 and said, your uncle used this. Try it. I shot the deli sign, the lemon leaves, Pixel sleeping like he had a union contract. The photos came back grainy and honest. I liked them. I joined a community center woodworking class and made a cutting board shaped like an uncharted country. The instructor, a retired history teacher, said, all edges are choices, and I almost cried over sandpaper. Tuesdays I climbed with a group that didn't ask me for backstory. A guy named Noah said, trust the rope, and I did, and it held. On Fridays I walked with the photo club at golden hour. A woman named Sloan with a buzz cut and a camera older than me traded prints and argued about grain like it mattered. It did. One night an HOA email announced a community meeting about recent neighborhood disturbances. Avery posted a black slide, some men are abusers. I drafted and deleted 10 responses, then went for a run under the onion-scented moon. The deli kid yelled, you're getting faster. He meant running, I heard healing. The last twist of the chapter arrived in a manila envelope forwarded from the hospital. Paternal contact, acknowledge C. Whitaker. She'd finally told them. I put the paper under the lemon pot to catch stray water. For the first time since the fence sign I laughed, small, disbelieving, free. I booked a cheap cabin by the coast for a long weekend, packed Pixel and the camera, and drove toward fog. The ocean didn't care what we'd done. Kept breathing. I matched it, one counted inhale at a time. The hearing took 9 minutes and felt like a season finale without music. Judge read the stipulations, Larkin spoke in that crisp cutlery voice, and a stamp landed like thunder, dissolved. Obligations clarified. Pixel officially with me. Assets divided on paper instead of in whispers. I walked out into weekday sun with my parents flanking me like bookends. Mom put a granola bar in my pocket like grief was a hike. Dad squeezed my shoulder once, the exact pressure you use to close a toolbox, and said, "We build again." Avery texted a photo 2 weeks later. A newborn in a knit cap. Caption, "He's here." I stared and typed, "I hope he is loved and safe," then turned off read receipts for good. Coach posted a selfie holding the baby like a kettlebell. Comments on. Colleen mailed a Christmas card in July with a verse about prodigals. I mailed back nothing. Quinn sent a sonogram with a gummy bear outline. "Different road," she wrote. "Good road." I sent a lemon emoji and we left it there. The rental started to look less like triage and more like life. The cutting board got less wobbly. The deli kid started running the block with me and introduced me to his grandma, who gave me oranges and unsolicited advice. "Don't marry anyone who hates your laugh." Noted. The photo club hung our prints at the community center. People I didn't know bought 2 of mine, River Light and a rusted door. I framed the cash receipt because it felt like proof that ugly seasons can still fund something decent. I took the coastal cabin trip, just me, Pixel, a camera, and a thermos. Fog rolled over cliffs like someone pulling a sheet over a tired day. I took dumb pictures of driftwood and one very good picture of a blue heron spearing a fish like a fencer. On the way back I didn't check her socials. I didn't say the speech to the windshield. I sang badly with the radio and meant it. I learned a few things I wish someone had handed me with that fence sign. Quiet revenge beats loud revenge. Facts, not fireworks. Lawyers, not late-night essays that if someone needs you blind to love you, they don't love you, they love the dark. Steadiness is not boring, it's oxygen. Stop handing it to people who breathe smoke. Routines are rafts. Eat, sleep, move, write it down. Boring wins. Your dignity doesn't require a witness, it requires a decision. Sloan from Photo Walk asked if I wanted to shoot neon signs outside the city where the sky still goes properly black. We drove, ate gas station gummy bears and argued about aperture like it mattered. At a crosswalk she reached for my hand. I let it happen, then let go at the curb. "I'm not a safe bet yet," I said. She smiled. "I didn't bring a bet. I brought film. I didn't promise anything. I promised myself I'd keep my promises to myself. Some nights the 3 a.m. fire alarm still trips. I sit on the floor, breathe in 4s, pet Pixel's dumb perfect head and write 3 lines. I was a good husband. She was a bad partner. Both can be true. Then I sleep. If you're reading this because your fence has a sign on it, literal or otherwise, here's your map. Document. Decide. Don't detonate. Pick 3 rules you can keep this week and keep them like rents due. Ask for help from boring, kind people. Build something with your hands. Take a walk where the air is bigger than your house. The road narrows first. Then it opens. And when light hits again, don't apologize, take the picture. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.